Hey guys, welcome to the Brains Are Root podcast with me, Antarctic Ninja, and the wonderful Loot the Body. This podcast is where we talk about anything and everything mental health, so sit back, relax, and enjoy while we talk about all of our crazy and invite you along for the ride.
Today, on Brains Are Rude, we're talking about how when our mental health crashes, how sometimes we can find ourselves kind of disappearing. The concept with the Cheshire Cat is that, you know, in the movie Alice in Wonderland, you get to see the full Cheshire, but then, like, it'll fade in and out. And I feel like that really represents kind of what we struggle with when our mental health is not doing great, is that we do have that fade in and fade out. And I'm sure, you know, our regulars can tell you that we haven't recorded or posted in a while. And it's because our content isn't just mental health for funsies.
Yeah.
Content is mental health because it means something to us and it impacts us both. And so that's why we're so passionate about it. And it's why sometimes it's gonna get quiet. Pretending that we can be on all the time is a disaster waiting to happen. And it is what we would normally do, is put ourselves in this position of like, oh, you didn't record when you were supposed to? What do you eat? What are you even worth at that point? Like, it's really harsh the ways that we can
so bad.
Set ourselves up to fail and then be pissed at ourselves for failing.
Yeah. It's do everything, keep it to that high standard, keep pushing yourself, oh fuck. And then instantly, just as soon as it doesn't go to plan, hatred for yourself. It's like, well, fucking hell.
Oh my gosh. So I've been trying to wake up early. I wake up, I literally wake up when I need to, get out of bed, wake up all the kids, go back to bed.
I wish.
So.
I wish.
Then my boyfriend will round them all up in about an hour and take them to school. So I get to stay sleeping. Which actually is not helpful to any of the things I want to be doing. Because then I don't want to wake up for hours. And so I'll stay in bed till like 10:30, 11 o'clock. Not because it's the best decision, but because I'm so, like, flipped around with all of, like, what I'm doing and how I'm feeling that, like, sleep is easier.
Oh, yeah.
Than dealing with all of that. And so every day I'm like, okay, we're getting up at 7, and I don't. Okay, we're getting up at 7, and I don't. And today I was like, I just wish I could count on myself, and I can't. And then my boyfriend was like, it's a very broad statement. He's like, I get that you're having a hard time waking up, but like, there's a lot of ways that you keep showing up for yourself. They're like, but not in that one. It's like, okay, but that doesn't negate all the other ones. I don't think you're listening. This is not working. I'm not doing what I need me to do. I wish I'd show up for myself. And he's like, those are not the same thing.
I know. It's like, seriously, like, I do, like, as soon as things start getting rough, you know, you start to stop doing things and you just disappear. Like, a couple of weeks ago, I took a week off from streaming, just gone. Gone. Why? Because nothing was really getting on top of me. But I was just tired, and I thought, if I keep forcing myself, I'm just going to disappear completely.
Right?
Like, you do really have to, like, manage it so much so you don't just disappear. I've done it on so many occasions. I do just disappear.
Sometimes we have to disappear a little bit to make sure we don't disappear completely. And that, it's a hard line to sort out, because when we get like that, we don't know whether the little bit of disappearing is gonna evolve quickly.
Yeah. What the fuck?
Sometimes when we disappear, it takes, you know, the stress of all of the things we piled on ourselves, takes it out. And then we're like, I mean, I don't like being stressed.
Yeah.
So how about I just stop doing all of those things?
I genuinely just I putting off so many other things because don't want to do it. So I just disappear from everything because it's easier.
Right. It's so much easier. It's so much easier. And it's it's not because it's what we want. We don't want to totally ghost on our own plans.
Yeah.
We're not ghosting on all the people in our lives. Or we're not just ghosting on all the people in our lives and all the responsibilities that we have. We're not even showing up for us.
Yeah. Like, I'm gone. Like,
well, especially since we're, like, usually mad at ourselves at that point. We're like, well, this bitch, I don't really care what she wants. You know? Because we've already let ourselves down in different ways. And sometimes there's this phenomenon, and I don't know if you experience it as well, where my to-do list can be extremely vast.
oh, yeah.
But for some reason, my brain prioritizes all of it at the same level. Where, like, logically I know filing my taxes and tidying the living room or doing an art project, those three things shouldn't be the same amount of important to me.
Oh, God, no. Yeah.
But I still have a hard time. Like, I'll have to write out the list of all the things that are going on in my head, and my boyfriend will be like, okay, this is top priority. This is middle priority. We really don't even need to do this. This is when all the other things are done. And I'm like, but it has to get done. And he's like, but it doesn't have to get done right now.
Yeah. So many. Like, I try and do a list, you know, prioritize everything, see what I need to do, you know, and I just look at it and go, I need to do all of them now.
Right.
It's so bad.
15 people? Can I just be 15 people right now? So I can get all the things done I need to get done. Yeah. And then you're like, no, you can't be 15 people. And you're like, well, you're not even trying. No.
Yeah. It's like, oh, God damn it.
It's like you don't even want to succeed. I want to. I just can't.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah. It's like, fuck. Like, at work, I have a nice long list, and I just look at it and go, well, this is kind of done, this is partially done, this is done, this is done. And I'm like, I need to get them all done now. I can't prioritize. So what do?
Right.
I just rewrite the list, waste 5 minutes of my time, and do nothing.
Right.
I just ghost on the work, just be like, nope, I'm done.
So overwhelmed, I don't even know where to start. My boyfriend will watch me. I literally, like, spin in circles. I don't notice it, but I'll, like, walk around the kitchen. I don't have a big kitchen, like, space. So I will just walk in circles, and he's like, all right, well, let me know when you're done with that, and then we can figure out what's going on next. And he's not being mean. He knows that, like, if he's like, okay, let's go, I'm going to be like,
yeah,
I'm not ready. You know what you need to do. I know many things that have to be done. I'm not ready to commit to any of them.
Yeah. So like, I'm doing it when I do it.
It's like,
so much.
I just saw all the wheels come up, didn't I? All right. Well, you just let me know when you're ready.
Like, that's my issue. I'm like, I try and formulate a plan, and then I just go, well, we can do all this at once, and it's like, no, don't do that. It's a bad idea.
Then if we don't make the plan, and we're like, we're just gonna get some stuff done.
Oh, God.
Then we go to work on the, you know, the paperwork on the table. We find a coupon. We're gonna bring the coupon over to this other place. Oh, in this other place, we realize that this has got to be cleaned up, and so we clean like for 6 seconds in every room. Like, why does nothing look clean?
Takes me hours.
I bet I know.
Takes me so long because I'm like, I need to tidy this bit. But to tidy this bit, I'm going to move things to another bit. And then I do the other bit before I finish this bit. And then I have to move things back. And I'm like, well, what the fuck?
Yeah. And it's so easy to, like, fall into that activity spiral.
Oh, yeah.
And then you are literally going in circles because you're just, like, going from one room to the next, one room to the next, one room to the next. By the time you get back to the first one, you're like, God damn it, this is what I was trying to work on the whole time.
Yeah. That's why I just disappear most of the time, because I'm too busy trying to do things which I've planned and then got distracted.
Right.
My attention span is really bad. Like, I'm surprised I'm still in a job with my attention span. It's so bad.
Honestly, so when I dated out, I wasn't streaming at all.
Mm.
And the fact that even though I have these moments, these spaces in time where I take a break from streaming, when I come back to it, I've been at it 3 years, a little over 3 years, almost 3.5 actually. And like that is
Oh god.
super, like, to me it feels like a really big accomplishment because I struggle so hard to stay in a certain activity for such a long period of time. And for me, the freedom of streaming is that I get to do whatever the hell I want.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I don't want to paint my face. I love painting my face and talking about mental health, and some days I just don't fucking want to.
There are some days where you just don't feel up to the streaming or anything like that. And you're like, new, just new.
And I think people misunderstand that, like, well, they just get depressed when it's something that's not fun that they just don't want to do. Well, I will get depressed and not want to do the things I like doing.
That's the thing they don't understand. Like, we just don't enjoy the things we don't want to do the things we don't enjoy. We don't do anything. We stop streaming, we stop doing art, we stop watching TV. It's bad when you can't even binge watch TV to make it through the day.
Right? And that's a thing. There are times that I'll go through something and I'll be like, when is the last time I listened to music? I just don't even notice it. Yeah. And it sucks because socially and environmentally and personally, you can get triggered by anything.
Oh, so much.
I can't. It is difficult for me to stand there and do the dishes or stand there and do any one activity for a long time. It is not just the fact that I hate the dishes, but it is the fact that monotony gives me plenty of time to just think.
Oh,
it's dangerous.
Yeah, you see, this is the thing. Like, I drive an hour a day to and from work. Like, I spend an hour's worth in the car. I just do a lot of thinking. When I'm tidying, I do a lot of thinking. It is very rare for me to be anything but just thinking randomly. Like, I genuinely, as you were talking about just thinking, I remembered I had a very good thought on the way home today. I was like, I should remember that. I should write it down when I'm not driving. And now I'm angry with myself for not remembering said thing.
Right? And that happens so much. It can be frustrating because people in our lives are like, oh, they're just flighty or they're flaky or, they just don't care. We care so hard that our brains go into overload mode and they're like, remember, but they don't hold the actual concept.
It's like, you must remember this. And then it goes to
remember something.
Remember something. Remember to remember something. Remember to remember whatever it was to remember.
Right? And then you just don't remember the thing because you were too busy remembering to remember.
Not a clue what it was supposed to be. I remember where it was, what sort of time I was thinking it, and what was around me.
Right, all the details you don't need, those are the ones the brain stores.
Yeah.
And it can be really frustrating, not just to ourselves, but to the people around us. Because they're just like, I guess it wasn't important. No. It was extremely important. So much so that I can't even remember it. Which doesn't mean I didn't care. It just means that I hyper fixated on remembering and forgot the actual topic.
Yeah.
And it's not a laziness or a disinterest. It's our brains are always spinning out. I've had people be like, oh, I was just home doing nothing. And I'm like, what? Why? How? Were you just doing nothing? And I'm like, no, it's great. I can't sit there and do nothing.
Oh, I can.
I'm sitting there doing nothing. My brain is on fire.
Yeah, physically I can I can do nothing. Mentally, not a hope.
No, we watched one of the episodes we had. We watched that little silly video about men and women and how we think differently. And it's supposed to be like that women don't understand the nothing box.
Yes! The lovely nothing box.
I definitely don't understand in the nothing box. I will own that.
It's rare for me to get into said nothing box. Because, you know, my brain's always on the go for some reason or another. Mainly bad things. But I can get there, and it's very fucking nice.
Yeah, see, I have to be super careful. I've learned to vocalize the things I'm struggling with. Which in previous relationships, whether that was familial or romantic or just peers, I didn't have that safety of being like, this is what I'm thinking and I'm struggling, and not having somebody be like, well, what's wrong with you? Instead, I have somebody who's like, well, I wish you'd be a little kinder to yourself, but I understand why you might be thinking that way.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a transition. It's definitely this morning we watched 6 things that you learn when you have narcissistic parents. And if we had been playing bingo, I would have won that bitch. Because
it's like, ho 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 bingo.
Right. Every single thing, everything on there. My mother's extremely narcissistic, and what's craziest part is that like she hyperfixates on anybody else's negative traits and doesn't do a lot of self-reflection. And my dad wasn't much better. He was also very narcissistic. His job was the perfect fit for him because he's an air traffic controller, and when you're in charge of that many lives every day, imagine you gotta really believe that you're some badass, person. But it's weird because it was like people who have narcissistic parents think that everybody is two-sided, like one out in public and one in private. I didn't realize that was not a thing. Like before today I did, but as a kid, because everybody and their neighbor loves my mother when she's out networking. But when she was home when I was a kid, it was not all the rainbows and butterflies, which is one of her favorite sayings, that we experienced. We didn't have that fun and chatty and optimistic human. We had like every negative thing that she noticed or dealt with. That was what she fixated on at home. And that's hard. And for a lot of people, they turn into people who are really unsure of themselves, who don't believe they have any worth, who don't believe they have anything that they're capable of, who believe that they have to chase love in order to get love.
Oh, yeah.
And it's really like a lot of people can go the direction of, well, they think that they're hot shit and they're trying to put me on display, so I must be hot shit. And then, like, they take that and they build on their own narcissism instead of, stepping away from it.
Yeah.
It's not, I mean, I am the black sheep in my family because I don't follow that behavior pattern, but it's not because I just didn't have to. It was a lot of work.
Yeah.
It was a lot of intentional decision making. And a lot of people don't realize that what we experience as we are growing has so many more ramifications than we realize while we're in it.
Yeah. Yeah. And
it can feed into why when we start to not hit our goals, when we start to not achieve what we're trying to achieve, it's why there's so much negative self-talk. It's like, see? They were right, whoever they are. Yeah. They were right, and you were wrong, and you have no value.
And
it's
then
not
you
tied
ghost.
to the to-do list, right? It's not.
See, that's the thing. It all leads up to, you know, because mental health. There is a lot of There is, a lot of inside factors. So many outside factors, and they all lead to the same thing. It's just shit. Hey, and those outside factors that then become inside factors, that then lead to the worst bits. It's just like, no. It takes so much to... Like, it's easy just to... There's a reason why people say, oh yeah, you're like your parents. It takes a lot of work to not be like your parents.
Right?
Like,
No,
holy sh... Like, I've... Like, I love my parents. They're good people. I have put a lot of time and effort into fixing myself to not basically become them. Because... No.
No, that's valid, and I feel like there's been a significant shift in like whether we're supposed to try to emulate what our parents show us. I feel like there's been a significant enough shift that people are more likely to try to carve their own path.
Yeah.
But it's definitely like, I, in many ways, do not give a shit what my mom thinks about me. We can be amicable as long as I take on the role of friend and confidant and not child who needs a mother. And, that's been our dynamic since I was a kid. I never got to be the kid. I was always like the venting person.
Yeah.
She didn't get that out of her relationship. And even now, while we're talking about not being our parents, not turning into what, examples they've shown us, I'm freaking out about her possibly listening to this and freaking out on me. And you shouldn't have to constantly, even into adulthood, worry about the level of response you're going to get from a parental figure. And that's it. Like, it was always like, she's so ready to hyperfixate on the negatives that she won't genuinely focus on the positives.
Oh yeah.
Unless it makes her look good. It's such a frustrating thing to watch.
Doing streaming, and people ask me about family and things. I very, very carefully plan out my response, knowing there could be backlash from family members. And they're one of the things that I'm working on because, most of my family obviously care what other people think. Me, I'm working on it. Because most of the time, couldn't give a shit. Because it's taken a long time to get to this point, but I still very much plan out my answers very carefully.
Well, I mean, look at what not planning them out has got, where that's gotten us.
Oh, God.
The responses, the reactions. It's not even responses, it's reactions.
Oh, yeah. It's just a pure reaction.
And so we've been taught to be careful, to be intentional, to be, like, hyper aware of how the things that we're saying are gonna come back to bite us in the ass, because it's not whether it will. It's definitely gonna happen. It's just when it will.
Yeah. You just wait for it. Always just waiting for it, and you're like, and that's why we ghost. If we don't answer, we're not gonna get hit. Karma's not gonna come swinging back round. Fuck that. We duck and cover before anything happens to truly protect ourselves.
Acts. So, you don't see us for a little bit. We are in survival mode. It's not fuck the world mode. It's, this is my hiding spot.
Yeah.
I am hiding now.
I'm hiding. Nobody find me.
When it is safe, I will come out.
Yeah. It's just some of us take a little bit longer to peek our heads back out than some others.
Right?
I
I have a super aggressive family. And whenever someone pisses off a family member, everyone becomes a target.
Ooh.
And so we grew up in a lot of displaced aggression. And I came out questioning everything I ever do ever. Where my sister, who's just a little bit younger than me, came out like, this is who I am and this is what I do, deal with it. And it's not, we don't mesh well.
Yeah.
And we really never have. Like, we weren't besties as kids. We've kind of gotten to amicable as adults. And it's weird to see other people who grew up either in a healthy household or their family figured out how to get healthy together. And my boyfriend has that second one. His family, like, as they grew and as they matured and as the kids became adults, they all learned how to, like, really show up and be in each other's corners.
Ugh.
And it's weird to watch.
Like, I'd say some of my family's getting better at that, but ours was. It still is. My family's very much. Someone will piss someone off. There'll be an argument, then it'll go dead silent, but everyone will bitch about everyone else behind each other's back and pick sides and
Oh yeah, no.
I'm just like, nope.
So much energy.
Oh, yeah. And then you're constantly walking on eggshells because you know what other people are thinking and bitching about, and you're just like, I do not care.
Yeah, no.
I have had to. People are like, why do you stay in your room all the time? One, my life's in here. Two, I don't want to deal with your shit.
Right. And there have been multiple occasions where I'm talking to my boyfriend who has this healthy, solid family, and I'll have a conversation with my mom, and he'll be able to hear it, and he'll be like, "What the fuck just happened?" I'm like, exactly what I thought was going to happen. This is what happens every time. And then my mom's like, we never talk. How can you be offended by something I say when we don't ever have conversations? I'm like, there's a direct correlation between us not talking and me not being irritated with the things you say. You can't have conversations. You can't say the things that are hurtful and then just brush them away like I shouldn't be so sensitive.
Oh, yeah.
When you say hurtful shit. I don't vent about my life stuff around my kids.
That's fair.
I don't think that children should have to be our emotional bellhops. They don't need to carry our luggage. They should just be able to be kids. And all of the shit that's happened in my life recently that was all very, very hyper emotional. Hyper is my word fucking for the day, I guess. But they were all like super emotional situations.
Hyper!
I know. It's like I've been catching it every time now, and I'm like, Murr. She's like, but you really probably shouldn't be saying all of this in front of the kids. And I was like, what the hell? I have been parenting for 13 years, and I've always been adamant about this. But now we're just going to assume that even though I'm upset and I'm a little ragey, that I just let it all out in front of the kids. And it pissed me off. Because I was like, why are you so quick to assume that I'm going to be an asshole? What?
Because people assume things that are similar to themselves.
And it's so frustrating because over and over and over again, in stressful situations, I have proven that being a mom comes first, the kids come first, and my feelings, even if they're big, don't get to overshadow how they're feeling. And it was just like, well, you really need to be careful about what you're saying around the kids. Bitch, you're on speakerphone in my room while they're at school. We can't get further apart from where they are right now. It's super frustrating. It's super frustrating. Because
that's why I ghost. It's easier. It's so much more peaceful.
It's so much more peaceful.
And you see, this is
Yes.
the good and the bad side. Ghosting can be healthy and be good, but also can be really fucking bad.
Right? Ghosting as a coping mechanism can be helpful if it doesn't become a habit.
Yeah. Like,
reference to our coping mechanism episode.
that was like episode 2. Actually, that was actually. Was it? Yeah. Like,
I think it was 2.
yeah. Like ghosting can be great because it gives you time to back off. Just get yourself back together, gather everything, and go again, which is great. But it can also be bad because, you know, you step back, you sort of push everyone away a little bit. And when you when you distance yourself slightly, people get irritated for no reason. Because up here, you can't say, I just need to step back, take a break, and yeah. People just assume that you're being a dick. So they become dicks. And then it all falls apart.
And sometimes when you take a step back, you don't realize you're at a ledge. And then your ass is down in the chasm.
Oh, God, yeah.
And
God, yeah.
We had a situation recently. My boyfriend and I were like super emotional about some situation that had happened. And I was like, hey, I feel like you're being a little snappy about it. So he snapped at me and I was like, I'm gonna go for a bit. And in our relationship, typically, when one of us is kind of like stewing, it helps when the other person is present. But in that situation, it was way more healthy for me to be like, I attempted to acknowledge, it didn't work, I stepped away. And I have a relationship that's so solid that after reflecting on it and figuring out, you know, where he stood, he was like, thank you, because that was the safest move and the smartest move for both of us in that moment. And if you can have like somebody who, whether it's a friend or a partner or in your family, who will say, you know what, I did fuck up and I appreciate you for not joining me where I was at in that moment, even though that's not our typical move, that's not our typical behavior. Our big thing is that we don't hurt each other on purpose. And I can't say that that's always been the case in any of my other relationships. There's been a lot of intentional hurt. And they hurt me, so I'll hurt them kind of mentality.
Yeah.
And so it helps us in our lack of wanting to disappear when we have people who show up and acknowledge healthy things that you're making the choice on. And because a lot of the times we question everything, so then it's like, oh, you snapped at me, I must have deserved that. Which, a year in, I'm learning to say, okay, this is big emotions. We're not getting anywhere. I'm going to separate for right now. And just go to a different part of the house and do what I got to do. And
that's why I ghost so much, because I know so many people that are, I wouldn't say incapable of, you know, letting a little snap just, you know, be the sign of, I'm just going to leave. I tend to know a lot of people that are very much, oh, there's a snap, well, here we go. And are very much head first into it. And you're just like, I'm just like, no, I'm out. I'll ghost for a bit. I'll see you when you've actually, you know, become human again.
right?
It's just like, I'm out of here. So much.
There's a lot of like frustration that we can face because we're constantly overthinking our choices. Constantly. Did I say the right thing? Did I do the right thing? Did I time it right? How could it have gone better? How could I be better? And so then when we point out somebody else's flaw, they're like, well, look at yourself. Like, all I do is that. All I do. I'm not I'm not disregarding a negative behavior pattern of mine by saying you also have a negative behavior pattern. And it's really like, it can be super, super irritating to have somebody be like, well, just because you struggle doesn't mean I do. I'm saying that as a person, you're not doing great. I'm not saying you have this disorder, you have that disorder. I'm saying that overall, your drive to be right instead of to be kind, it makes you not the best person to be around.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one of the things we say in our house all the time. Is it more important that you're right or kind? You being right, we can talk about that, we can have a conversation, but you being right at the cost of anyone else around you, that's unnecessary. You can be kind and we can have a conversation about the subject. But if it's just, I'm right and fuck everybody who stands in the way thinking I'm not, and I'm going to prove to you how much better and smarter and cooler I am, I don't want to talk to you.
It's very much a, get fucked, asshole.
Kind of like, okay, you be right over there.
Yeah.
I don't need to be near it.
And they're the people I ghost. Like, I try not to ghost people. You know, I'm stupidly overthinking everything every second of the day. Not really a surprise. And I spend too much... Like, if people think I'm being a dick, that's fair. Because I probably am being a bit of a dick, because I'm overthinking things. And constantly thinking about other things that I'm never truly in the moment. Which sucks ass.
We get super guilty about things that we don't need to be guilty about. Like, oh, I accidentally interrupted them the last time we talked. Even though what I said was right, and they agreed with me, and nothing negative happened in the conversation.
Oh, yeah.
Like, oh, should I
I just assume everyone hates me. It's easier.
It can be a lot easier to do that, but then it affects our self-talk.
Because
right?
Because I feel like that, I feel like everyone hates me or has something against me because, I don't know, I'm a dick. You know, I stop talking so much. I slightly ghost, and then I just pull myself further and further and further and further. And right? I just never, like, I do it, like, work is sort of the main one. Like, I kind of slightly ghost people because I just don't talk that much. I'm normally overthinking everything on my to-do list. So I have to literally pep talk myself every 20 minutes, half hour to stop myself from ghosting just the work and just being so lazy and not doing it. Not because I don't want to, but because my brain just goes...
Right? Just total shutdown mode. And we're like, well... nobody's gonna like us anyway. So let's just stick to ourselves. Let's just stay to ourselves. Let's just be quiet, and then we'll be able to make it by. And that more often than not, everybody does not hate you.
Genuinely, I made this joke yesterday when I went back to work after a week off. I genuinely told them on Monday, just before I went back to work, my brain went, I wonder if you'll still have a job. You know, I wonder if you've done everything right. You start overthinking things. I still got a day off here. What am I thinking of? Work. Why? Because my brain can't help it. And I genuinely told my manager, in a jokey way, because that's what I do, that I was like, I'm surprised I've still got a job. I'm surprised, you know, everything didn't go to shit and I was dragged up on something or other. And I still genuinely believe that at some point they're going to drag me up on something that happened and, you know, I'll get the sack and people actually hate me. But they don't. They probably don't. I can't say they don't because I have to say probably because my brain just can't help itself.
Right. Yeah, right. I've had points in time where I would message someone and I'd be like, I know our last conversation was good. But my brain is like full on telling me that the reason we're not talking anymore is on me and that, you know, this situation, maybe I said something that I thought was funny, but then reading
Wasn't.
it back maybe sounded flirty instead of funny, and
I just think
like,
I'm being annoying when I talk to people, so I
I
deliberately don't, like, I ghost people deliberately because, not on their fault, but I think I'm being annoying, so I don't message them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all because my brain and the way it perceives things is, oh, I'm just being a twat, I'm just being irritating. Stop irritating people.
Right? Stop being a burden. Oh, that one. That one hits. Is you're being a burden.
Oh, I fucking hate that one.
I've never had somebody say that to me. And I still hate it.
I've never had someone say I'm a burden. I've had at least one person say that you talk about your mental health too much.
Right? And
so that one's just like, that one got me more surprised than anger or sadness. I was like, you fucking what?
Right?
I was just confused by that point. I was like,
so hey. I'm too into making sure I'm making it through the day.
Yeah, apparently I just had to shut up and be quiet and, fake that smile. I was just like,
Oh, there are so many, like I was saying, there's so many, like, triggers environmentally and socially and in our relationships, just like that. Sometimes we do go into safe mode. We do go into peaceful mode where there's no enemies, and
we go in hibernation.
We sure do.
We don't respond to people. We don't do we do minimal. We just run on the reserves.
And the people who take that, like the people who are most offended by that, probably don't need to be in your lineup.
They probably caused the reason to go into hibernation.
Right. If you've got somebody who's mad at you for taking time to make sure you're okay because you're not meeting their needs, then you should reevaluate that conversation or that relationship. Those sort of people, they're just too much hassle for me. Like, I used to, keep talking to them and try and be good, and for them, I've realised as I've got older, fuck that ass. No, I'm not doing it anymore. Like, I just don't. I can't, because one of the rules I made for myself when I was in my mid-20s, which, for those of you who don't know, I am 32 now.
No, don't say mid-20s. I'm now in my mid-20s. Oh, God.
I decided that I was done putting more effort into a relationship than the other person was. If they didn't meet me halfway, I was done. Because I was spending so much of myself and getting so little in return that it was like eating away at me. And it was not an overnight thing. It was not easy. I still struggle in some areas especially with my family, to keep that boundary of what we put into it, because it's definitely not equal.
Oh, God.
It's definitely not equal. And when we only have taxing relationships, we just get so drained. And we can't be there for us.
I think that's...
Showing up for us is big.
Oh, yeah. Like, that's definitely one thing with being a content creator. It's a relationship that, you put a lot into. And it's fucking draining. And it's why you see so many people take weeks off or months off just to feel like themselves again, because they give so much to give you, because they enjoy it, yes, but it takes a toll.
Can, for sure. And for those of us who have a hard time regulating our emotions,
on the best of days,
like, give it 1,000% for 5 weeks, and then week 6 we're like, I think I'm gonna die now. I don't know that I can continue surviving because I don't have anything left.
Yeah, like, you give so much and you want to keep improving and keep improving and keep improving and keep improving. And then you realise, oh shit, I've got nothing. We can do nothing, and just, you crash. And that's why, like, taking breaks, ghosting people, you know, disappearing for a bit, like, it's needed. It's very much needed. Because
honestly,
otherwise, you just
like,
know, ugh.
I want to schedule. Like we have that option. Being controlling and trying to schedule our ghosting don't really work out very well because it's not like we get that much of a heads up from ourselves.
Yeah, it's like,
Like,
yeah, we're good. Oh,
we got this. We got this. We got this. We're done now, though. You're like, whoa. Where did you go?
Yeah, it's just like, shit.
Yeah, that's too far away now.
Yeah, it is when it happens so fast that you just give it up. You're just like, nope. And then everything, you know, you pull back pretty quickly, and then that's it. And it's not good. It's not good.
It's definitely something that you have to be intentional about. If you feel yourself slipping, if you feel yourself, you know, feeling more numb than excited about what you're doing.
Yeah, if it's more, I have to do this, then, I'm doing this. Like, yeah.
And taking a little bit of time, like, regulate it. Make sure that it's like, okay, I'm feeling a little not like myself. Here's my normal streaming schedule. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and have a day off and then go back to it. And if you give yourself that, if you give yourself the grace to be an emotional wreck, then the wrecks aren't so bad.
Yeah, when you allow yourself to sort of crack under the pressure, to break a little bit, it allows that to, you know, sort of knock all the crap and all the loose away, and just lets you be back to what you are, just you.
Right.
And it's just better than trying to hold it in, watch it all slowly crumble, and then eventually just fall off anyway.
Well, and being you is enough. Like, we don't hear that, we don't see that, we don't feel that enough, but just being you, that's enough. And it's hard sometimes when we're taught being ourselves is just too much.
You have to tone yourself down.
Right? It's enough. It is enough, as is.
It is just, Yeah, we're told to, you know, keep plodding along. Keep chipping away at it.
Right? Be better,
if you stop,
do better, try harder.
If you stop, you won't start again. You'd be surprised.
Sometimes you need to stop. You don't just constantly run your vehicle.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta stop it, and then you can go back and start it again. If you just constantly leave it running, it's damage on the vehicle, it's damage on the environment, it's damage on your time frames and your wallet. There's all of these negative things that happen.
If you keep pushing along, there are so many more negatives. You know, you keep pushing along as a human, you'll be your health will go downhill. Your mental health will go downhill. So that's going to cost you a shit ton. You know, eventually it's just going to, like, it'll impact you, not just personal life, but your professional life will get impacted. You will end up losing money due to the fact you won't be able to work and the such. And it is a bitch. Because I've done it. I think that's the worst thing.
The physical toll that our mental health can take on us is not talked about enough. Because if you're constantly stuck in depression, you are not eating, you're not doing the right hygiene, you're not taking care of who you are.
You're probably not drinking enough.
Right, probably not drinking enough water. You might be drinking quite a bit, but it's not water.
Yeah, it's very not healthy.
that's all just because we wouldn't give ourselves a little bit of time. And then physically we start deteriorating. And I can tell you that in all of this, like lately, I'm definitely not getting enough water. I'm definitely not getting enough nutrients. I'm definitely not moving enough. And all of those things are impacting the fact that I feel like shit. And I'm almost at the highest weight I've ever been. And the kicker there is that my mental health is crap, so my physical health is crap, so my physical health is crap, so my mental health is crap. Like, it's not...
Oh, the cycle.
Great.
Oh, the cycle. We hate it.
Right?
So much.
It's like a teeter-totter from hell, and it's just so frustrating because I just want to not feel like that. And that's just, just don't be depressed. That's not how it works. It's a chemical imbalance. There are sometimes situational depression where, like, you're upset because massive shitty things have happened. That's legit. That is also a form of depression. Your feelings are valid. But there's also the chemical depression, which is what I have. I think that's what Ninja has as well. And we have to combat that with either exercise or being in the sunlight or medication or talk therapy. And it's never just one of them. I'm not going to tell you that if you just stay outside all day, you're going to not be depressed. You're going to get a sunburn. That's what's going to happen.
That's only if you're like Luton, like super pale.
That's facts. It could be cloudy out and I would get a sunburn.
Like, normal humans don't burn so easily.
I mean, I guess, whatever. But for real though, like, it's definitely a combination of things that we need to make sure, and that includes our nutrition. But nutrition isn't the end-all be-all to your depression. And we have so many misrepresentations of how to just snap out of it. Just appreciate the things you have. Are you telling me that because I'm depressed that my appreciation isn't good enough?
It's probably higher.
I appreciate what I have, and I'm still depressed.
Yeah, you appreciate it more, and then you hear it, and then you're like, well, fuck me, now my appreciation's even higher for it, because I really like it, but you're making me feel shit fuck you, people.
I hate those inspirational posts that are like, just realize how many people have it worse than you. And I still feel like shit, so am I a bad person now? Is that what the point of this post is? Is the post trying to make me feel less than? Because even though I have depression, I have it better than others? That's not helpful.
Oh, yeah.
That's not helpful.
Like, that's why I've, like, inspirational quotes and posts and that, they're just irritating now. I prefer the funny ones, because they make more sense at this point.
Well, I like the ones that are like, if you go to a new place, you try to get there early and get super anxious about not knowing the parking situation, or are you normal? That's not one of the things that gets to me, but I absolutely can see that in some of my friends. They'd be like, I had to arrive 20 minutes early just to figure out who was parking where. I'm like, I feel like that's the exact opposite of what you needed to do. Because people haven't parked yet.
Always
but
good.
It's just random things like that where, like, we have, and it's becoming more and more prevalent on social media. Just like, or are you normal? Fucking none of us are normal.
It's gonna say, if you
those are funny for the most part, and a lot of us cope with humor. Mostly dark humor.
That is one thing you do notice is the ones that are affected by things. The people that are affected by, really serious things, they have darker and darker humor. And then the ones that get offended are the ones that aren't involved in any of it.
Right.
I'm like, what?
I lost my dad a few years ago. My best friend for years and years, he lost his dad when he was younger. He was about, I want to say 18 or 19. we would horrify everybody in the room because we would make dead dad jokes.
Nice.
And they're like, how can you be so lighthearted about it? I'm like, the other option is to be sad about it.
Yeah.
So, at least we're making other people laugh. And there was one situation where my friend's brother was sitting at the table by himself, and it was a missed opportunity because the brother was just like, oh, I'm just, eating by myself. And I was like, you could have been like, oh, so you're having a conversation with dad, or you're hanging out with dad or whatever. And he's like, damn it. It's just because, like,
you got it, won't you? If you don't...
We've done our grieving, we've done our crying, we've done our hurting, we've done our pain.
And we've done a lot of it. People with mental health have
like,
so much. We're so dark.
So, right. So we just... only thing left to do is to feel funny, like to feel humor towards it. We've gotten all the other emotions. We've covered them. We've covered them for years. So, like, if I can draw a laugh out of you about the situation, I'm going to try to.
I'm going to tell you this now. I've seen many videos on TikTok. Not people definitely poking like mental health and just having a giggle with it because they are, directly affected by it. I've seen people, they use a video where they're like, oh yeah, I need a chopping board. Pulls out the arm. And like, that shit is like, you look at it and go, oh my god, that's terrible. But also fucking funny.
Right, but also you're giggling on the inside and you're like, I don't know if I'm allowed to giggle on the outside.
Yeah.
Because other people find this horrifying, but I think it's funny.
Yep. Like people, you can tell the people with like hidden mental health is if you're giggling at that shit. Like we know. If you're offended, nah, you're.
I really love the ones where it's like people talking to the other parts of their psyche, and I don't really want to do some of those videos. I think that'd be hilarious. And one of them that I've really started to follow is Connor DeWolf, and he'll be like, "I am strong. I am valid. I am worthy. I am strong." And it's like he's like hardcore working out with like elastic bands. And then another version of him comes in and he's like, are we seeing the same therapist? It's so good.
See, this
it's
is
so
good.
They
I think it's definitely getting better now, especially with those sorts of videos, which they are so funny. They really do show a more accurate side to mental health.
Yes.
One of the best things was from a stand-up that I ended up seeing from TikTok and that. One of the best jokes he ever did was, I have anxiety and depression. And then just opposites, just like super sad. Yes. I'm super anxious. And like, that shit is golden.
It is because we get it. It's like Bo Burnham stuff is so funny.
Oh.
Because.
Glorious.
It's so relatable.
And
I got to watch Inside, which was his Netflix special.
Yeah.
And I loved, like, there was one point in time where he was like, I'm never finishing this, so this is all for nothing. Okay. Like, because he wasn't ready to stop the project because it was doing something positive for him. And I feel like we're all get to that point where we're like, I've gotten to that point both times I published. I was like, I'm never finishing this, it's all for nothing. Got both of them finished, but finishing a project is like one of the hardest things to do. My boyfriend doesn't like starting a project. I'll start 9 projects, but I don't get any of them finished. And so, like, we try to, like, compliment each other because we both know that I have a strength in starting projects and he has a strength in finishing them. We try to work together.
I have too many projects on the go.
Right?
So I've just not done any of them.
I know. I'm like, all right, I gotta do this, and that. And he's like, but aren't you already doing these other 3 things? Now I'm doing all of them. No.
Like, even
nice
if you don't,
like
if you don't ghost, like, if you sort of step back, you don't have to, like, for it to go, like, your mental health to be bad. Or to just sort of try and take partial sort of survivability in, like, you will ghost random things. I've stopped doing art. Why? Because there's too much and I can't do it. I can't handle. I've left it.
I stopped learning Portuguese. I'm not sure why. I just stopped. And it's really frustrating because I was enjoying myself.
Yeah.
I had a situation today where I have 3 computer monitors. I have 2 and then 1. So full triangle. For the whole time I've had it, I would take my mouse and I would drag it right into the top screen. So it's all one line. I just drag it right. My son was playing on my computer the other day, and so my boyfriend fixed it so that now the mouse goes up to get to the screen that's on top. My little brother was in here. I'm like, babe, why'd you break my stuff? And my brother's like, you mean fixed it? I mean, he fixed your stuff. I'm like, no, now I can't go right to get to the top screen. And my boyfriend's like, why don't you just change it? I'm like, I don't know, because I feel like it should be that this is what I want, even though this is stressing me out. He's like, it takes 2 seconds. Just change it. I'm like, I might not. I think I'm going to try and get used to it. Like, because it's just, even though it's uncomfortable, I'm trying to put myself in positions where it's like, I can push that uncomfortable, but that's okay line. Because if we just only do what we're comfortable with, we would never unghost.
Oh, so much. So much.
We would live in it for forever.
You would literally be a ghost forever, and it wouldn't be nice at all, actually. It'd be kind of horrific.
I feel like it would be, but you'd be convinced that it was great.
Yeah, you'd end up convincing yourself.
Not.
And then people looking on the outside looking in going, what the fuck? You're right? Like, it's fine.
It's great. This is what I wanted.
Yeah. And then eventually someone just pokes at it a little too hard and creates that little hole, and then you're like, oh, fuck.
Brian, this is the worst. What was I thinking? What was I doing? And then you don't know what amount of time has gone by.
Oh, so much. So much. Like, when you're sort of just existing, ghosting, being that living ghost, you don't know. Like, I've lost hours. Literal hours.
Relevant at that point.
I'll
like stop and think and be like, when's the fucking last time I left the house?
Oh, yeah.
And if it wasn't for my boyfriend being so encouraging to get the fuck out of the house, I wouldn't leave. I would stay here. And I like social settings, and I like hanging out with people, and I like my home.
I really like the home.
Right. And so I will prevent myself from moving forward with my career, with my friendships, with anything, just so I don't have to deal with anything.
You don't.
So, yeah.
Yeah, if you ghost, you don't have to deal with, the difficulties in work or moving forward in life and friendships or anything like fuck that shit. You don't have to deal with it if you just ghost. It's great.
So, to summarize, ghosting can be a helpful coping mechanism if you do it intentionally and you give yourself, like,
time.
Boundaries and limitations.
Yeah.
If you're like, you know what? I just fucking need a day off. Make sure that it's a day off at that point. But be honest with yourself. Like really reflect on what it is that you feel like you need. Because otherwise it can become a hiding tool instead of a coping tool.
Yeah. And I think you probably used it in both ways. I definitely have.
Definitely. Absolutely. Because it's, like we said, it's easy to do. It's easy to fall into. It is a lot harder to fall out of.
Oh, yeah.
And if you look at it like a tool to help you move forward, it can take away a lot of the negative connotation on it. So make sure that you're taking care of you. Make sure that you give yourself the grace and the space to grow or heal or do whatever it is you need so that you can move forward.
Because then otherwise you end up kind of like some people, like me, who kind of just ghost for months on end. I'm not gonna lie, I've done it. I've done a few months on end, and it's not nice. It took a lot to drag myself out of that shit. Like,
Well,
holy hell.
Misunderstandings with my disorder. I have bipolar disorder.
Mm.
I can go through the extremes in a day, multiple times. Or I can be depressed for months or manic for months. And I've had points in time where I feel like I blinked and I lost like months because I just couldn't function. And a lot of it was when my kids were a lot smaller. I had struggled a lot with postpartum depression. And I would wake up, make sure their needs were met, go back to sleep. And my whole goal for the whole day was to make sure their needs were met and to sleep.
That is...
It's a lot easier when babies are babies, just because they're also sleeping when you sleep. But as you get into, like, we're teenagers now and preteens, they require a lot more than just basic needs.
Yeah. They're more complicated.
Oh, God, yep. And I can't tell if my 13-year-old girls or my 11-year-old boys are harder right now. Emotions are so high all the time. So, and I've got one boy who, like, he'll go straight to anger when he's upset. And the other is on the spectrum, and he's very literal, and he goes to crying. And so, like, the more angry the one gets, the more crying the other gets, and then with more crying, the other one gets more angry, and it's just like they're about to separate because they were in the same room.
Oh dear.
That's not been great.
Yeah.
So.
That's definitely not. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're switching them around, which is going to be good.
But yeah, you know, it's how people, like, you've got to give yourself that time to do it so you're, you know, so you can face the world.
Absolutely.
And not let others, just because they think differently to you, you know, dictate how you think you should be feeling and really make an effect on you. Other people are other people. They do them, you do you. There's no such thing as normal. Fuck them.
I think it's so important for us to, like, embrace that, because we are enough as is. That's it. That's the end of the thought, is we're enough.
It's a fucking hard thought to... Like, most people probably okay with it. You know, they can wrap their heads around it. We cannot.
Not easily. Not easily.
No, I could barely do it now.
I was going to say, it's more from an outside perspective, not necessarily, like, inside myself. I'm like, yeah, that's right. I'm more like, I'm supposed to think this is right. And I'm still struggling with that, but I understand the concept.
Yes, I see what I should be, and I can see this, and yeah, it makes sense, but I cannot.
Right?
It just never melts together.
It does not, and it's a lot of people think that, like, oh, well, people think medications is a fix-all.
Oh, far from it.
It just helps me to just, so my extremes aren't like this, but they're just more like, woo.
Yeah. Very much so. It's like...
It doesn't change the frequency of them. It doesn't change anything but the intensity.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the worst bit. It's like, oh yeah, you know, you're on meds. You should be fine.
Hey, no.
You fucking try them.
I'm on meds, so you're fine.
Yeah, it's like, I think you've got the better deal here, and I'm the one taking the fuckers.
Right.
Like, people have dealt with me on and off meds. Christ, am I weird on both, so it makes no difference. But, like, I make it easier on other people while I'm on meds. No doubt about it.
I definitely know that I am kinder to myself when I medicate. My anxiety is so high all the time that without it, I'm definitely disappearing. Like,
I'm definitely more likely to disappear and ghost when off my pills. Like, I know when they're starting to sort of not be effective. When they're out of my system. And it's nothing, like, specific, but you can, like, I feel it. And I know it's going on a spiral. And, oh my God, do I strap in for the ride.
because of the different types of meds I take, and just life happening and me running out of one but not the others, I almost have like exact knowledge of which thing does what thing for me, because I'm like, I don't know what the deal is, but I feel like this. And I'm like, because you haven't taken your mood stabilizer in 3 days. Like, it makes sense that you're struggling with whatever that is. And my antidepressant, my anti-anxiety, my mood stabilizer, those are the 3. Oh, and my serotonin squasher. Each of them, I could tell you like what happens when I'm off each of them at this point now, because of just how, unfortunately, just how wonky my medicine has gotten in the past, and how I've been off of each of them at different times.
Yeah.
And hey, don't mess with your meds. Unless you're like
Really?
talking with your doctor about changing dosages. Try really hard. Just stay on what you're supposed to be on.
Oh yeah, seriously, don't deliberately not take your meds. Try hard to remember to take them. Oh, then it's not fun.
Well, and if you have the right setup for you, and then you F with your schedule and your dosages and stuff, then it might not be the same for you anymore. Like, it might not work even though it was working before. And for bipolar disorder, it's a lifelong diagnosis. It's not like, oh, well, I'll just grow out of it. It's the chemicals in my brain don't do the things the chemicals in brains are supposed to do. And if I let them run rampant, there's no telling if I'm going to be like hyper, like, up at the top of the thing, or if I'm just going to be super depressed. But I'll be one of those. It's very rare without meds that I can find that calm middle ground.
Meds definitely, they just sort of, they help a little bit. They're not the miracle, but they help. Along with everything else we spoke about.
Right, yes, and it's all in some sort of combination. It's never just one thing. Boom, it's good now. It's always something from each little category.
Oh yeah. I probably was like that when I was first diagnosed and I first was put on meds. Because that's all I did. Take my meds, just carry on with my day. Christ, do I look back now after a good year and a bit, coming up for 2 years, of working on myself to realise that yes, I was better, but only mildly. I had one part of the combination. It's like trying to pick a lock. Figuring out how to best look after your mental health when you have bad mental health is like picking a lock. Don't lick locks, that's weird. Like, there's a couple of different pins in there. You've got to figure out which one's the correct one. Pills was partly one for me. Exercise was another. And sort of keeping a little, not eating healthily, but just being more aware of what I'm eating.
Right, intention for me is,
and
it's not
therapy.
necessarily the different activities, it's meaning to do them. And so, like, yeah, I can hit my 10,000 steps if I'm paying attention. I can make sure that my calories are coming from the right sources if I'm paying attention. Like, getting all my calories in the day and eating what I'm supposed to be eating are not necessarily the same thing.
Yeah, it's like you're just being a bit more aware of things, which is kind of, because then you're more aware. You notice that this isn't like super great for me. And you try. It's just about being a bit more aware. Just writing down.
My
Writing that down.
kiddos are going to be home from school any minute.
No worries. I tell you, we've done an hour and 18. Okay, take off this last minute. Be pretty good. I don't think we'll have to really... This a couple of seconds here and there, I think, will easily make an hour.
Right?
Hopefully this one will actually be able to be put on Spotify. The last one, for some reason, had audio issues. The file would not load for some reason. And it really pissed me off.
Yeah, I don't know if my other one is even anywhere. Completely Mental that I do with Timmy. Not sure if that is anywhere. Just haven't had a chance to sit down and be like, okay, where's this going to? And he was going to be doing uploading to YouTube and Spotify, but then his computer crashed.
Yeah.
I think we lost some of it. So now I just don't know. I just don't know.
To be fair, as long as it gets to at least, because YouTube tends to be sort of the bigger spot. That's not really a surprise. As long as we get it onto one of them, we're okay.
Right.
But yeah, it just didn't go up on Spotify last time. I was like, for fuck's sake, it won't do it. And I'm like, I'm not, I tried everything I could think of and it just wouldn't go. I was like, well, it's on YouTube.
Right.
So yeah, otherwise I was like, nope, I'm not dealing with it.
All right. Do we want to do sign-offs?
Can do. Do you want to do it? You want to start? Because you're always pretty good at it.
Sure. All right. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out and for joining us. I am LootTheBody. You can find me on the Bigo app, on Patreon at Mental Health and Makeup, on Facebook at Mental Health and Makeup. You can visit the website, MentalHealthAndMakeup.Shop, where you can now order the second Mental Health and Makeup book.
I've already ordered it.
Yay! And, yeah, this has been Brains Are Rude. I'm Loot. This is...
Ninja!
Yay!
Yeah, I've given up saying my full name because no one calls me it. They use some slight iteration of parts of it. I've given up using the whole name, which is fair. Joy, it's been nice. It's been a few weeks since we actually got a chance to sit down and do this, to be fair, because we've both been ghosting each other.
We've been ghosting everything, yeah, including each other. Yeah.
If it wasn't you ghosting, it was me ghosting, and we just Oh, that's why this episode was kind of why it was about what it was, because we ghosted very easily.
Right? Hard. No, we can record sometime next week.
Yeah.
Next week, the entire next week passes. Oh yeah, we didn't do that.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't oh, I don't like you. It was, oh, I don't know that I have it in me.
Yeah, we just ghosted. And that's the thing with ghosting is, you won't want to, you won't mean to, it'll happen, and it'll happen to people that you don't want to ghost.
Right? Yeah.
It just happens so
absolutely.
often. So often.
Alright, where can we find you, Ninja?
Oh, find me, oh Christ, Twitter at Antarctic Ninja, Twitch at Antarctic Ninja. Pretty much anywhere you go, if you type Antarctic Ninja in, you'll find me. Because I use it pretty much everywhere the same one. Because I'm super fucking lazy.
And you can find our links below.
Oh yes, you will find all the links to all of Loot's, to my link tree with all of my links on, all down in the descriptions of the video, and obviously on Spotify and YouTube and all of those lovely, wonderful places. Thank you all so much for being here, guys, and we'll see you again soon. Bye, guys.
So, if you go to patreon.com/Mental Health and Makeup, you will get to see the Brains Are Rude tier. And the Brains Are Rude tier is $60 a month, and for that support, you will get listed in the credits and panels for Brains Are Rude. You'll get behind the scenes Brains Are Rude content, digital downloads, early access, all of the post archive on this Patreon, exclusive voting power for upcoming topics.
You will get a mug after 3 months of support. You will get a Brains Are Rude t-shirt after 6 months of support. You will get a Brains Are Rude organic tote bag after 9 months of support. And after 1 full year, you will also get a Brains Are Rude hoodie. This is our Brains Are Rude Patreon tier to help us keep doing what we love to do